Welcome to the World Channel, NVV. Messi to Neymar, I'll leave Barcelona in 2 years and you'll take my place. Lionel Messi did his absolute best to convince Neymar to return to Barcelona last summer. The Argentinian told his former teammate that he could come back to the Camp Nou, where he'd be set to have the baton handed over to him with Messi ready to leave. "We can only win the Champions League together," France Football report Messi of having said. "In 2 years I'll leave and you'll take my place." Messi was desperate for Neymar to make his way back to Barcelona, explaining that he, the Brazilian and Luis Suarez could again form a fearsome front line. In their last spell together, the MSN Strikeforce fired the Catalans to a Champions League title, beating Juventus 3-1 in Berlin in 2015. Barcelona, it's inadmissible that VAR didn't check Piqué's penalty claim. Prior to Wednesday night's Clásico, we have already had some controversy. The performance of referee Javier Alberola Rojas, along with the VAR, has angered Barcelona, with the Catalans reaching boiling point after Gerard Piqué was not awarded a penalty in the dying embers of the game. Real Sociedad centre-back Diego Llorente seemed to pull Piqué's shirt in a similar action to the one which saw La Real handed a penalty in the first half after Sergio Busquets grabbed Llorente's shirt. Had Barcelona been given that penalty, it would have been a chance to score what likely would have been the match-winning goal, with the scores level at 2-2 when the apparent foul occurred. The Blaugrana's rage is understandable. It is confusing to understand why the VAR did not check what happened with Piqué and Llorente. Whether it was a penalty of not checking it is surely the reason why the VAR was brought in the first place. The VAR should review what decisions they look at, with even the penalty that Busquets conceded being mired in some controversy. The Catalan midfielder seemed to have an altercation with Llorente prior to pulling his shirt, but ultimately, there is not much reason to complain about the referee's decision, a verdict confirmed by the VAR. Going back to the Piqué appeal, it is logical that Alberola Rojas did not see the shirt pull. The only way so many people witnessed it was because the TV angles showed that Llorente was pulling the Barcelona defender's shirt as they fell to the ground. Yet, despite Llorente doing well enough to hide his shirt pull from the on-pitch referee, Alberola Rojas, what becomes unfathomable is that no one at Los Rosas saw any problem with the action. Something is wrong. The letter that Barcelona president Josep Maria Bartomeu will send the president of the Spanish Football Federation (RFEF), Luis Rubiales, falls into their pre-Clásico strategy. Making their frustrations public only adds to the intrigue surrounding Wednesday's clash with Real Madrid. Sure, if the Clásico wasn't coming up, this letter probably wouldn't have happened, but Bartomeu didn't want to miss an opportunity to stir up public opinion. Valverde's Barcelona are the worst with possession since the Guardiola era. Barcelona are renowned for their ball retention, but, at Anoeta on Saturday, they had just 46.58% of the possession. It was the 9th game of Ernesto Valverde's 141 in charge that they had less than 50% of the ball. His predecessors never suffered so much. Luis Enrique only had under 50% 6 times in his 181 games on the bench, Tata Martino had it once in his 59, and Pep Guardiola also only suffered less than half of the possession on one occasion in his 247 matches. Matches under Valverde in which Barcelona were outpossessed. The 19th of December 14 Real Sociedad 2-2 Barcelona, La Liga Santander 46.58%. The 19th of November 27 Barcelona 3-1 Borussia Dortmund, Champions League 46.11%. The 5th of January 19 Barcelona 3-0 Liverpool, Champions League 47.5%. The 19th of April 20 Barcelona 2-1 Real Sociedad, La Liga Santander 49.72%. The 19th of March 17 Real Betis 1-4 Barcelona, La Liga Santander 44%. The 12th of November 18 Barcelona 1-1 Tottenham, Champions League 48.81%. The 1st of April 18 Celta Vigo 1-1 Barcelona, Copa del Rey 46.21%. The 10th of January 17 Barcelona 3-0 Las Palmas, La Liga Santander 48.04%. The 17th of August 16 Real Madrid 2 2-0 Barcelona Supercopa de España 46.67%. Now with El Clasico coming on Wednesday, Barcelona face another big test this week. Barcelona's doubts and certainties ahead of El Clasico. Barcelona took a point from the Real Arena on Saturday afternoon in a game that only raised more questions around the Catalans ahead of the midweek Clasico with Real Madrid. The doubts. Defensive fragility. Barcelona have already conceded 20 goals this season in La Liga Santander and 4 more in the Champions League in just 22 games in all. They've been unable to keep more than 6 clean sheets and only one of them has come in their last 9 games. Left back. Jordi Alba reappeared at La Real but he wasn't right. He was shaky and nowhere near his best, nor could he hit the speed he does when fully fit. Nobody doubts that he'll play on Wednesday, but it should be questioned and maybe Nelson Semedo is a better option. Midfield. Sergio Busquets will start but he disappointed at the Real Arena, even being taken off in the 73rd minute. The Spaniard was outshone by Ivan Rakitic and he foolishly fouled Martin Odegaard for a penalty. The certainties. The MSG are improving. Antoine Griezmann is growing into life at Barcelona and he's starting to combine with Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez. They now have 33 goals between them this season, Messi 14, Suarez 12 and Griezmann 7, and without Ousmane Dembele, they know they'll start again. De Jong's energy. Frenkie de Jong has brought some good news to the Camp Nou this season and he's proven himself to be reliable for Ernesto Valverde. He's always fit, not like Arthur Melo, and is 100% committed. More rest. Barcelona will enjoy 30 hours rest more than Madrid ahead of the Clásico, with Los Blancos playing at 2100 Central Europe Time Sunday. Barcelona fume ahead of El Clásico. Barcelona didn't hide their anger towards the referee after their draw with Real Sociedad on Saturday afternoon. Following Sergio Busquets' concession of a penalty in the first half, the Catalan club were denied a spot kick of their own after Gerard Piqué went down in the area in stoppage time. Referee Gil Manzano didn't point to the spot and VAR didn't intervene either, which upset Barcelona players, directors and coaches alike. I might have pulled the shirt for the first penalty but, if you set the bar there, it's going to be difficult. Busquets said. The action on Piqué is proof, and it was even clearer than mine. The referee had to have seen it, and I don't know why VAR didn't look at it either. It's difficult to know the reason because they don't give assessments. If you give a penalty for Busquets' foul, you have to give one for one foul on Piqué, Frenkie de Jong said. I think it was a penalty. We all saw it, Barcelona head of institutional relations Guillermo Amor said. Barcelona president Josep Maria Bartomeu will write to the Spanish Football Federation (RFEF) as they seek answers. Bartomeu could see RFEF president Luis Rubiales at the federation's board meeting on Monday, but he may travel to Nyon for the Champions League draw instead. As a coach, you see things in your favor, Ernesto Valverde said. I don't know what happened for Real Sociedad's penalty. It looked like handball. With Gerard Piqué, I have to watch it again. I don't know if the fourth official checked it. This further fuels the feeling of intensity towards referees ahead of El Clasico on Wednesday. Real Madrid have already complained about the appointment of referee Alejandro José Hernández for the fixture. De Jong, if you give the first penalty, you have to give the one on Piqué. Frenkie de Jong has expressed his frustration after Barcelona weren't given a penalty at the end of their draw with Real Sociedad. Gerard Piqué appealed for a spot kick after he went down under the challenges of Diego Llorente and Mikel Merino. His claims were waved away by referee Gil Manzano, who had previously awarded a penalty against Barcelona after Sergio Busquets grabbed hold of Llorente in the first half. If you give the first penalty for Real Sociedad, you have to give the one on Piqué, de Jong said after the match. Barcelona went behind in the encounter and de Jong admitted that the visitors found it tough to deal with their opponents to begin with. It was an intense game, with lots of pressing, and we weren't very comfortable, but we were able to react and come back, De Jong said. Griezmann keeps getting better. Antoine Griezmann is becoming more important by the week at Barcelona. He was on the scoresheet against Real Sociedad on Saturday, scoring his team's opener for the 5th time this season. This tendency is highly valued by his club considering that the first goal is always the most difficult one to score. However, Griezmann's improvement isn't just evident in his form in front of goal. The Frenchman is becoming more and more involved in Barcelona's play, and his movement is allowing him to receive the ball in dangerous areas. Nobody is saying that he doesn't get on with Lionel Messi anymore, and nobody is accusing him of not scoring enough goals. Two pieces of good news for the forward. The bad news is that Barcelona continue to leak goals. Whether it's defensive errors that cost them or individual mistakes, Ernesto Valverde's side are always at risk of conceding. Real Sociedad's first came from the penalty spot and their second came from Marc-Andre ter Stegen's fumble. Bartomeu to write to Rubiales about Barcelona's denied penalty. Josep Maria Bartomeu will write a letter of complaint to Luis Rubiales, the president of the Spanish Football Federation (RFEF), after Barcelona were denied a penalty during their draw with Real Sociedad. Gerard Piqué appealed for a spot kick after he went down under the challenge of Diego Llorente in the area. Referee Gil Manzano gave nothing, which further infuriated Barcelona after Sergio Busquets gave away a penalty for tugging on Llorente in the first half. VAR wasn't used for the incident involving Piqué, and Bartomeu now wants to know why. I think it was a penalty, Barcelona's head of institutional relations Guillermo Amor said of the Piqué incident. Everyone could see it was a penalty. Busquets, I don't know why VAR didn't look at Piqué's penalty claims. Sergio Busquets has questioned the use of VAR after Barcelona were denied a penalty during their draw with Real Sociedad. Gerard Piqué went down under the challenge of Diego Llorente in the penalty area in the closing stages, but his claims for a spot kick were ignored and the incident wasn't looked at by VAR. Earlier in the game, Busquets gave away a penalty for tugging on Llorente's shirt at a corner. Controversy is always going to be there, Busquets said about VAR. There was wrestling for Real Sociedad's penalty. And the Piqué one is proof because it was clearer than mine. The referee had to look at it, but there's not much you can do. I don't know why VAR didn't review it. VAR has to intervene in moments like this. But you can't keep going on about it, even though it's a moment that could have decided the game. There are combative moments, but penalties are clear. It's difficult to know why they behave like this, because they don't make assessments or clarify it. With this trip to San Sebastian out of the way, attention can now start to shift to facing Real Madrid on Wednesday. We're in good form, I don't know if we'll be top of the league because it doesn't depend on us, Busquets said. But we're on an upwards curve and we're playing at home. We've always risen to the challenge in recent Clásicos. Griezmann, both teams could have scored a third and won. Antoine Griezmann believes the game between Real Sociedad and Barcelona could have gone either way on Saturday afternoon. Both teams exchanged goals in a thrilling 2-2 draw at the Real Arena, with Griezmann scoring the visitors' first goal. Both teams had their moments and had chances, Griezmann said after the match. We drew and we were good, had chances. We tried to score a third, but it wasn't to be. Both teams created chances to score a third and win. The Real Sociedad coach made 2 changes and they helped them a lot. They had lots of attacking players. We now have to start thinking about El Clásico. The Frenchman didn't celebrate after finding the net against the club where he became a star in Spain. I'm never going to celebrate against Real Sociedad, he said. I scored goals at the old Anoeta. I have lots of respect for those that gave me everything. With the game coming to an end, Gerard Piqué thought he should have been awarded a penalty when he went down in the box. I didn't see the play, Griezmann said of the incident. Valverde, I'm not a referee, I don't know if it was a penalty. Ernesto Valverde lamented the fact his team weren't able to secure a victory in their final La Liga Santander clash before the first Clásico of the season, but the Spanish coach refused to criticize the referee, suggesting that he didn't know if Real Sociedad's penalty should have been given. Martin Odegaard stood out throughout the first half, playing some quite wonderful football, and it was this pressure which contributed to Los Culés' defense losing their shape and conceding a first-half penalty. "I'm not a referee, I don't know if it was a penalty," Valverde explained in his post-match press conference. "The players are told about holding in the penalty area, so it has to be very clear. I think it wasn't a clear goal-scoring opportunity." Odegaard wowed supporters yet again, showing Real Madrid exactly what they are missing, and Valverde was quick to praise a player who seems destined to reach his potential once more. "He is having a great season. Now that he is playing continuously, we can see the type of player he is," he added. "The problem with these players is that they are in the half space and you can't track them. From what we've seen, he's been very good." With the Clásico now at the forefront of Barcelona minds, the Spanish coach was in no doubt that the clash with Real Madrid will be physically intense, something which isn't good for his squad at this time, yet he refuted claims that his resting of plays impacted the result. "What do you think? We're dying here on the bench," he intimated. "Do you really think we're wondering about the Clásico? You only think about what you have in front of you." Andújar Oliver, Llorente pulls peak and a penalty should have been given. Barcelona left the Real Arena feeling a little hard done by as Gerard Piqué appeared to have been pulled back by Diego Llorente inside the penalty area, and former referee Andújar Oliver sided with the Blaugrana. In the dying moments of the game with the score at 2-2, the Barcelona centre-back was floored by Llorente, leaving the Catalans outraged. "The image shows us a pull by Llorente on peak," Oliver said. "The action should have been sanctioned with a penalty." Real Sociedad were awarded a penalty in the first half for a similar offence, which Oliver alluded to. If he pointed for a penalty in favour of La Real in the first half, he should have given one to Barcelona, he told Radio Marca. Barcelona Odegaard made Barcelona tremble. Saturday afternoon saw a wonderfully entertaining La Liga Santander fixture take place between Real Sociedad and Barcelona, and the league leaders slipped to a 2-2 draw. Martin Odegaard gave a football masterclass reasserting what nobody now dares disagree with: the Norwegian is a wonderful player. The technician produced wonderful football which was unstoppable at the start of the match, and it was only Marc-André ter Stegen who kept him off the scoresheet. Barcelona knows all about Odegaard's talent, and they will not be looking forward to facing him as a Real Madrid player in the future. Griezmann scored a goal at his former home and he was spotless in his efforts on the pitch. At times he was the best defender for Barcelona, and his attacking numbers were fantastic. He is starting to find cohesion with Messi and Suarez. Ter Stegen is used to saving Barcelona's skin this term, but he was at fault on this occasion, making an error which handed Alexander Isak an easy chance to convert from close range. He managed to make a save with his foot which prevented Los Culés going 3-2 down, but in an unusual occurrence the German actually cost his team points. Isak showed himself to be sharp, and with it looking like he was about to substituted, with Willian José virtually on the touchline, the Swedish forward found the back of the net as a result of ter Stegen's error. Barcelona survived La Real's intense start to the match by holding on to Pique, who was livid by the poor placement of the midfielders. He won a number of individual duels and even could have secured the result with a chance to make it 3-1. Busquets spent a very bad early period of the match struggling at the Estadio Anoeta. He looked tired even though he was rested against Inter Milan. The Spanish international failed to read the positional requirements and left his defense without help. He was then responsible for giving La Real a penalty, but did improve in the second half. Barcelona ratings against Real Sociedad: Jordi Alba isn't ready for El Clásico. Barcelona were forced to settle for a point against vibrant Real Sociedad side just 4 days before they host Real Madrid at the Camp Nou. Ernesto Valverde would have been delighted with Antoine Griezmann's display, which came with a fine goal, but there will be some concerns over Jordi Alba's performance. Have your say on how the Barcelona players performed in San Sebastian. 1. Griezmann the best on the pitch for Barcelona, both in attack and defense. His help at the back was fundamental. In addition, he drew the game level with a fine lob. 2. Peak improved as the game went on. Had some problems in the first half in stopping Lionel's forwards but marshalled his box well. Could have had a penalty late on. 3. De Jong did a lot of the dirty work, but little offensive contribution. 4. Semedo another late substitute by Valverde, coming on for Alba, and the Portuguese looked threatening. 5. Luis Suarez a nuisance to his opponents at all times. He did not have his best day, scored 1 but still had chances to net more. 6. Elena brought on in the closing stages of the match and was unable to influence the game. 7. Sergi Roberto grew into the game. The team misses him when he doesn't join the attack. 8. Lenglet overwhelmed by Real's attack in some periods. Good on the ball. He put Griezmann through on goal for his equalizer. 9. Rakitic imprecise in possession, giving the ball away far too often. 10. Messi Barcelona suffered from his surprisingly low level. When Leo doesn't get on the ball, the chances of winning are far lower as evidenced on Saturday. 11. Ter Stegen an uncharacteristic error from the German for Real's leveler overshadowed his good performance. 12. Arturo Vidal risked a red card with a harsh tackle but got away with it. Ineffective otherwise. 13. Busquets played a great pass to Leo Messi who then laid it off to Luis Suarez for 2-1. Brought off once again for Elena. 14. Jordi Alba a tough afternoon on his return from injury, making uncharacteristic mistakes. Replaced by Semedo.